State, but look who's showing up uninvited. Nebraska Cornhusker volleyball fans. Volleyball on the Big Ten Network is powered by Unleaded 88, Engine Smart, Earth Kind. The second-ranked Huskers hit the road into a hostile environment to take on the Spartans and try and rain on Sparty's homecoming festivities. From the Breslin Center, we welcome you to the weekend alongside Emily Eman. Chris Voster's on hand. On paper, this profiles as a David versus Goliath matchup. Nebraska is 6-0 in Big Ten play. Michigan State is 0-6. But Emily, you know as well as anybody, you can't take anything for granted in Big Ten volleyball.
There are no days off in Big Ten volleyball. Nebraska has to come out with fire because this Michigan State team is ready to click at the right time. They've already tested the top teams. Took a set off number 4, Penn State, and played Purdue to the brink.
Yeah, but it's going to be a tough challenge for Michigan State against this huge roster of Nebraska hitters.
Nebraska's thriving because they have one of the most balanced offenses in the country. They don't have one-star attacker. The offense is unpredictable, and anyone can go off on a given night. In order to have a balanced attack, though, passing is key, and the Huskers are one of the best in the country. Nebraska's littles are phenomenal at taking seams. Lexi Rodriguez communicates with her outsides before every serve that if the ball's in the seam, she's got it covered. That allows the outsides to release and just go hit. Sometimes the DSs even shift into the seam before the serve happens. Watch middle back. The server sees a seam, then as she makes her approach, the passer shifts to her outside, closing up that seam and taking the pass intended for the outside. Nebraska's passers also have incredible footwork and insanely fast reaction times. Look at where Mauk is in middle back, then watch her explode up after she identifies a short serve. This keeps the Huskers in system even with really tough serves coming at them. To hang with Nebraska, you have to have someone who's going to match that defensive intensity. And Michigan State's got that in libero Nalani Yosia, who embodies what it takes to be an elite libero. Consistently a good passer, phenomenal leader for the backcourt, and just digs a ton of balls.
She's got a lot of experience against Nebraska in the NCAA tournament with Texas as well. Nebraska's won 16 in a row against Michigan State. Can the Spartans snap the streak? Find out when we return from the Breslin Center. When these two teams met at the Breslin Center a year ago, Michigan State set a program record in attendance. There's a great crowd on hand tonight as we take a look at the starting lineups, powered once again by Unleaded 88. And Emily, Taylor Landfair draws into the starting lineup again for the Huskers.
Coach Cook wants his left sides to kill balls. This is an opportunity for her to show him what she's made of.
Former All-American at Minnesota, and on the other side for Michigan State, a little bit of a tweak, not in terms of their personnel, but where they're playing, Emily.
Akash Anderson's going to line up as the right side tonight, and we might see Michigan State go back to that 6-2 later on.
They've had success running the 5-1 with Julia Bishop, but this is a Michigan State team that needs points, needs offense, and a 6-2 would give them more hitters on the floor. So there's Akasha Anderson playing on the right side, and Bergen Riley leading the Big Ten in assists per set with the first serve of the night. Taylor Hold'em with the back row attack, and here's Landfair on a pass that was actually over the net, and Michigan State capitalizes on that.
Starting fast is going to be key for Michigan State, and if Nebraska is giving them free points, the Spartans have to capitalize on it.
Taylor Preston, the junior, with Michigan State's first serve. Michigan State has taken a set off Nebraska each of the last 2 seasons, so these have not been necessarily dominating Nebraska performances as of late when they've played Michigan State. Merritt Beeson terminates that one.
What a swing for Beeson right out of the gates. Such a dynamic player. Normally lines up on the right side of the court, this time hitting outside on the left, but she's just as lethal out there. When this set is good, she will rip a ball inside.
And she sure will. Merritt Beeson, first team All-American last season in her first year with Nebraska. Olivia Mauk, true freshman, part of a really defensive and very skilled back row for the Huskers with the serve. And Beeson smokes another one that eludes the very talented libero for Michigan State, Nalani Yosia.
This is where Nebraska is so good. Their backcourt just picks up everything. When you think the ball is down, all of a sudden someone comes running in to scoop it up.
Malk from Bennington, Nebraska. There's an overpass, and Beeson is 3 for 3 on the night. John Cook, in his 25th season with the Huskers, now the Nebraska program leader in wins, passed to mentor to him, Terry Pettit, with a win over Creighton earlier this season. Wants his hitters to be more technical, and Merritt Beeson off to a great start tonight. Susanna Kulig with the serve because of a net violation. But a quick side out for Nebraska. That puts Lexi Rodriguez behind the line, 3rd all-time in program history in digs. 3-year captain for the Huskers, one of their all-time greats. Bishop with the pass to Anderson, and a great dig by Malk. Murray with a roll shot. Bishop feeds Anderson again. Over to Murray. Into the donut, Yosia with the dig. Hold'em the swing, and a big block for Nebraska. Beeson and Andy Jackson.
The key to taking down Nebraska is outlasting them defensively. Michigan State has such a good defensive core led by Nalani Yosia, but Nebraska's making ups like that. You have to do that on your side for the Spartans.
Evie Duzema, the middle blocker, had the set there, but another good block for Nebraska. Huskers starting a weekend road trip at Michigan State, at Ohio State tomorrow afternoon. So a quick turnaround for Nebraska this weekend. Bishop sets Anderson. Here's Hold'em. She puts it into the middle of the floor. Point Michigan State. Leah Johnson, in her 3rd season as Michigan State's head coach, has brought the program into the Breslin Center. This is Michigan State's 3rd season playing inside what has typically been the home of Michigan State basketball. There's an ace serve from Akasha Anderson. That's something that doesn't happen to Nebraska very much.
Nebraska is one of the best passing teams in the entire nation. That was just the 32nd time in the country getting ace. They lead the NCAA in that category.
Anderson again. Riley dishes to Beeson. That's out of bounds. Point Michigan State.
Right away, Michigan State is hanging with the Huskers. They're doing a great job keeping the pressure on Nebraska and then siding out when they have the opportunity.
I think that's something that's easy to overlook about Michigan State. You see 0-6 in the Big Ten, but they have hung with a lot of their opponents this season, even in conference play. Anderson with the serving error there.
I think the 0-6 start for Michigan State really doesn't tell you the full story of this program. This is one of the most talented teams that we've seen under Leah Johnson. The team just hasn't been able to click yet. They have ballers in every position. They're still just finding that rhythm and consistency.
Merritt Beeson with a serving error for Nebraska. And that ties us right back up in the 1st set.
If Nebraska is just going to hand Sparty some points, Michigan State has to continue to capitalize on it. Way too many errors on Nebraska's side so far.
Taylor Hold'em with the serve. Riley all the way over to Harper Murray. Great dig by Yosia. Bishop sets Preston. From the back row, Hold'em. That's her specialty, and it's down for a Michigan State point.
Michigan State is finding ways to turn defense into offense. Libero Nalani Yosia flying on the inside of the court. Impressive up against one of the better hitters in the country, and they're able to transition these plays. That backcourt is something Michigan State wants to continue to get going.
Hold'em was 2nd team All Big Ten as a freshman last year. She serves again and digs Merritt Beeson. Now Preston, a tip, and that works for Michigan State.
Michigan State starting to feel themselves. They're doing a really good job in transition, finding ways to get kills in different ways. They're going after the block, they're throwing in off speeds, really testing out Nebraska's defense to start.
First lead of the match for Michigan State. On the slide, Andy Jackson is dug. Nearly a Charleston. Jackson stuffs it down for Nebraska.
Those are the plays that Michigan State cannot afford. When you're playing the #2 team in the country, you have to try to play as clean as possible. In this out-of-system situation, it doesn't have to be perfect. Keep that ball off the net.
Just one blemish on the season for #2 Nebraska. It came to SMU, at SMU in non-conference play. Bishop with a surprise attack from the center position. It was read well by Laney Choboy of Nebraska. Rodriguez the dig. Landfair dunks it down.
Michigan State's doing a good job keeping these balls up. They just have to keep the ball on their side of the court and not allow Nebraska to assert their dominance up at the net. Impressive up after impressive up. They just have to control it a little bit better.
You'll see a first in the Big Ten in digs per set. You almost hate to see that point lost for Michigan State there. But Taylor Preston takes a chunk out of the Nebraska block.
This kind of balanced offense is exactly what Michigan State needs. They've been struggling to kill balls throughout the entire season. Those kills per set numbers are not where they want to be. Last in the Big Ten in kills per set, last in hit percentage. This team needs a little bit more offense, but these pieces are starting to click in a new system.
Nalani Yosia, her third season at Michigan State, spent her first two at Texas. Jackson drives that one down for the Nebraska point.
Andy Jackson just so explosive up front, and that connection between her and Bergen Riley has been one of the best that we've seen in the NCAA all season long. It is just firing time and time again. Even if Riley's off the net, she still finds ways to keep Jackson involved.
Jackson and Riley, half of that dynamite freshman class from last season, 2023, really anchoring this Nebraska program now, and even last year as freshmen. The set in the middle is denied. Here's Preston now. And that is a Michigan State point.
Michigan State is really exploiting the middle of the court for Nebraska, putting the ball right between all of the defenders. They're doing a really nice job hanging in some of these plays. And look, left side of the screen, so much open in the middle of the court. Nebraska's not able to handle it.
Michigan State with a higher hit percentage than Nebraska so far. Not even halfway through the first set yet. Julia Bishop serving from way behind the service line. Over to Anderson and dug by Rodriguez, but there was a net violation there.
Kasha Anderson just going into the antenna with that swing. Set just a little bit off, falling over on that approach.
Attack was outside of the antenna. Here's Bergen Riley. That's an ace.
Bergen Riley perfectly placing that ball right between the serve receive on Michigan State's side, and now we'll see some shifts over for Sparty to try to make up for that, but watch where this goes. Right between them, they have to talk about it early on, think it's going out, falls right on the end line.
Zuzana Kulig. Big time kill for the Michigan State middle blocker, her first of the match.
Zuzana Kulig has been so impressive so far this season. Mostly does better on the defensive end, but Michigan State has really worked to get her going, especially on perfect passes. She's got a heavy arm and she's not afraid to use it.
And she had a career-high 12 blocks in Michigan State's last match against Illinois right here at Breslin Center. Landfair with a big swing, and that gets past Taylor Preston, point Nebraska.
One of the biggest things Coach Cook said that he wanted to see before this matchup was trying to get his left sides to kill balls, whether that's on the right or the left, finding ways for those outside attackers to get kills. Doesn't have to be in the same way. It can go high hands, off speed, whatever it takes. He just wants the ball to hit the floor when those outsides are taking it.
Cook calls out the serving signal to Mauk, but she puts it into the net.
Already 2 service errors right in the tape for Nebraska. That's just a lack of focus. If you're going to miss, that ball has to be long or down the sideline to at least give the opponent a chance to play it.
Well, 12-12 here in the first set. Michigan State very scrappy, as has been their DNA all season. Kulig serves long. Kulig to the bench. Nebraska the lead, and Lexi Rodriguez serving. Great libero matchup we have tonight. Anderson, cross-court kill.
Akasha Anderson looks like a completely new player, playing on the right side. That was something that Leah Johnson told us before the match was going to be a new look for this team, because she feels like Akasha Anderson might have just a little bit better tempo and a lot more consistency over there, because her numbers hadn't been great from the left side.
She's serving now. That one didn't miss by much, but it is out of bounds. Point Nebraska. This is Merritt Beeson. Short serve, overpass. Andy Jackson takes care of that.
Michigan State has to do a better job controlling these plays, keeping the ball on their side of the court.
So some issues in the serve and pass game for Michigan State have given Nebraska, albeit a tight lead here halfway through the first set. Nebraska by 2 as we roll along here in the first set of our Big Ten volleyball doubleheader on this Friday night. I think it's interesting that kills are tied at 8 apiece so far, Emily. Still very early, but Nebraska comes in averaging 14 kills per set. That's 11th in the country. Michigan State has struggled to terminate the ball this season. So if that's even, that's an advantage for Michigan State. But right now they're having issues in the serve and pass game.
And normally this is a staple for Michigan State's team. They're a very good passing team. What they've been struggling with is putting down balls. Tonight it's been flip-flopped. We've seen them struggle in serve receive and controlling the ball on their side, but they're terminating when it's up front.
Harper Murray with the Nebraska kill on the overpass, and Merritt Beeson still serving. Taylor Hold'em down the line. It's dug by Mauk. Murray out of bounds. Nebraska thought there was a touch, and there is. Point Huskers.
Harper Murray is so good at these precision shots. She can see the block so well in front of her and target those fingertips to where you barely see it, but goes right over it for the tool off the block.
Also note that Kayla Foley, number 10, is in the back row for Michigan State. This is her first action of the season for the Spartans. Taylor Hold'em with the kill for Sparty.
Michigan State has given a different look than what we've normally seen tonight. They started off the season in a 6-2, meaning they had 6 hitters, 2 setters coming in that always played in the backcourt. Over the last 5 or so matches have gone back to a 5-1, just with 1 setter in Julia Bishop. Tonight they said they might go back to that 6-2, 2-setter system, but they're having success so far in this 5-1.
They sure are. Bergen Riley, speaking of 5-1 success, no need for a 6-2 with Bergen Riley at the control. She tees up Harper Murray. Murray has 4 kills to lead the Huskers so far, and she serves now. Nebraska's offense starting to come to life. They were hitting sub 200 for the first portion of this set. Now up to 391. And defensively, Nebraska always strong.
Much better handle of the off-speed on Nebraska's side. Michigan State's throwing in a lot of tips, a lot of roll shots to the middle. Good identification from Riley up front to hang up there and push it down.
The 6-1 setter chipping in on Nebraska's 3rd block of the match. Preston dug by Murray, but not successfully. Point Michigan State.
Sparty's outside's having a lot of success, both with that off-speed and right to the middle of the court, in that back corner, splitting the left back and middle back defenders, targeting that ball perfectly.
And Preston had a big match against Illinois, 15 kills, and leading Michigan State here tonight with 5. Landfair off a touch, point Nebraska.
Taylor Landfair doing a really nice job so far, hitting 500, 3 kills already. Again, that's a #1 thing Nebraska wanted to see. Can their outsides kill balls? They're doing a great job of it so far.
Landfair got the start tonight, just her 6th of the season. Coming over from Minnesota, where she was a 3-time first-team All-Big Ten honoree. Preston off the block. Riley settles underneath it, and Becca Alex' first swing of the night is dug by Yosia. Murray skies from the back row and plants it.
Nebraska has done such a better job over the last few matches getting that back row attack involved. It's been so effective. Either Harper Murray, number 27 in red, or Merritt Beeson in the backcourt when she's there. It's been really effective for the Huskers.
Timeout on the floor. Nebraska pulling away in the first set. In the first round of the 1983 NCAA tournament. So Huskers always draw a crowd and apparently always have.
Where Nebraska goes, the fans follow.
That's for sure. Kennedy Orr behind the service line for Nebraska. Trying to close the door on this first set. Michigan State got off to a strong start, even for the first half of the set, but Nebraska starting to pull away, and there's a setter kill for Bergen Riley.
Okay, Bergen Riley up front. It's not often that you see a setter approach and swing at a ball. Usually it's on a setter dump. That's why you see those big smiles coming in, looking like an attacker up front.
Certainly has the height to do it. 9 assists and now a kill for Riley, the sophomore. Worth noting that the Michigan State setter right now is Rachel Meisinger. Julia Bishop got the start. Head coach Leah Johnson told us that Michigan State would flex into a 6-2 if they felt like they needed offense. That's a net violation there and a point for Nebraska.
Michigan State going back to this 6-2 system, so they've rotated Aaliyah Moore, number 13 in white, the right side in, and they have a new setter in, number 18 in white, Rachel Meisinger. So going back to that 6-2 system where they always have 3 hitters up front and a setter in the backcourt.
Orr serves down the line to Hold'em. And Aaliyah Moore with the swing, but out of bounds, and it's set point for Nebraska now. Cooling the swing, dug by Orr, over to Landfair, blocked on Michigan State's side, pushed over by Moore. Riley picks out Landfair, and that puts a wrap on the first set. A lot of Nebraska fans on the road stand and cheer that point and that finish to the first set. Good start for the Huskers on the road, thumbs up in fact. 25-15, and the Huskers looking to improve to 7-0 in the Big Ten.
Nebraska takes the first set, led by an awesome sophomore attack. First you got Andy Jackson on the side, Murray in the backcourt, and setter Bergen Riley getting in on the action too, putting some balls down. It's been a pretty balanced effort for Nebraska so far, hitting .433 through that opening set, and here's that superior sophomore class. Just elite across the board in every single position.
I'll tell you what, this is what that depth can do in part. It was 13-13 in the first set, and Nebraska goes on a 12-2 run. As you said, Emily, you blinked and it was over. Michigan State's homecoming weekend here on campus. There's a homecoming parade going on, actually simultaneously to this volleyball match. Big football game tomorrow, of course. The Michigan State hockey team is in action tonight. Highly ranked is the Spartan hockey team, so there's a lot going on campus. Huskers are trying to rain on the parade, so to speak. Wipe the slate clean, time for the second set. Julia Bishop will get things going. And we saw her serving and serve and pass earlier this afternoon from way, way behind the serving line, and that's just what she does. I mean, she's off the Terraflex right now. She's serving on the baseline of the Breslin Center basketball court. Point Nebraska.
Good side out right away for Nebraska getting the ball back because, like you said, Bishop has one of the tougher serves on Michigan State's team. It's called a bomb serve when you're all the way back, and it kind of hits those air pockets. You don't even have to hit it that hard, and it's still so tough to pass.
Merritt Beeson picks up the first kill of the set. Malk serves for the Huskers, and Preston puts it down in front of Lexi Rodriguez, but out of bounds.
This ball just going a little bit wide. Good shot down the line. That's what Preston had open, but this ball just sneaking out of bounds, or called out of bounds.
Gosh, that was close.
That's when it feels like you got a challenge.
And there is the card. Our first challenge of the match coming early in the second set.
All right, so the original call was ball out, point Nebraska. Michigan State is challenging a touch on the play.
We've already seen a replay. We'll investigate more thoroughly now, but on the first replay, Emily, I thought this looked in.
I also thought this looked in.
In fact, live, I thought it looked in.
If any part of the ball touches that line, the ball is ruled in. There has to be 100% conclusive evidence.
The call on the court is reversed. Okay. The ball was in. Michigan State will retain their challenge.
The ball was in. It actually looked like it might have been touched as well, but either way, it's a point for Michigan State. Challenge successful.
Good challenge taken early on because Michigan State needs every point they can right now. During set one, 25 to 15. You can see there, yeah, got the touch on Murray and that ball was in, so kind of a double whammy.
Ties us up at 1 here in the second. Taylor Preston serves. Stuffed by Zuzana Kulig on what looked like an overpass.
Really good serve on Michigan State side, really forcing the pressure. The movement on that ball, so insane right down the sideline.
Preston down the line to Murray. Preston tries to dig Merritt Beeson, but that's a point for Nebraska.
Taylor Preston in the right spot to make that dig. Beeson is just putting so much heat on that. It's one thing to be in the right spot, and it's another thing to control it and get it up.
Lexi Rodriguez. Bishop sets the middle, pushed over by Kulig. Riley now for Jackson. Great dig by Julia Bishop. Akasha Anderson, it falls on Nebraska's side, tapped back by Kulig, swept over by Malk. Anderson out of bounds, point Nebraska.
This is Nebraska's defense at its finest. Just when you think the ball is down, they find a way to keep it alive, doing whatever they can, whatever body part they got to use for it, just keeping the ball alive, forcing the pressure on Michigan State's side, which results in a Husker point.
Awfully hard to put the ball on the floor against a John Cook coached team. Hold'em is stuffed out of bounds, point Michigan State.
Good job from Taylor Hold'em up front, trying to use the block. If that block isn't perfectly formed, she does a really nice job seeing it and going right off of the hands.
Fourth kill for Hold'em, the sophomore from New Zealand. Kulig serves into the net. A word with her head coach, Leah Johnson. 4 serving errors for Michigan State. A positive message, it appears. Merritt Beeson now Anderson puts it down. Point Michigan State.
Akash Anderson still finding her rhythm on the right side. We've seen her rip some balls down. Still struggling, though, in that new position. Again, normally lines up as a left side attacker. This is her first start at right side this season.
So it's just a mirror image of your footwork, your swing motion, everything?
Yeah, it's definitely different. A lot of times you'll see lefties play on that right side because it's a little bit more natural as Nebraska puts that ball down. Akash Anderson, though, she's adjusting to this new position. Blocking-wise, it's different. Obviously opposite in terms of approaching, too. She has to let the ball cross her entire body before she swings, so the timing, too, is just a little bit different.
Andy Jackson with the last kill for Nebraska. Anderson, I'm talking with her head coach earlier today, has had 3 great days of practice going into this match. Really putting things together. Overpass, and it's dunked down by Bergen Riley.
Michigan State has to do a better job of keeping the ball on their side. The ball doesn't have to be perfect within 1 or 2 feet of the net. Even 5-10 feet off, Julia Bishop has the ability to continue to run every player in their offense.
Huskers are a top 10 team nationally in hit percentage. Another overpass kept alive by Yosia. Huskers are hitting a blistering .514 for the match. And that number will go up after the kill by Andy Jackson.
Nebraska had a slower start to the match during set 1, but at the 13-point mark, they took off. This offense completely found its rhythm. The passes tightened up a little bit, and Bergen Riley's ball location has really excelled.
Averages over 11 assists per set. Great dig, or pass rather, by Anderson off the tape on the serve. It's knocked over by Foley in her first match of her college career. Overpass. Jackson pushed by Bishop to Yosia, and she sets Hold'em. Hold'em, roller. What a play by Choboy. You could hear her thump as she landed the floor. Another dig by Choboy. It's Jackson down the line, out of bounds. And what a point for Michigan State to win.
Sparty finding ways to keep the ball alive. That backcourt doing a phenomenal job in the right position at the right time to keep these balls up. Tons of hustle on Nebraska's side. Laney Choboy looking incredible, flying all over the court. But Michigan State outlasts Nebraska and finds a way.
That was over a 60-second rally, and we've seen some long ones involving Nebraska, Emily. Nebraska usually, it feels like, is made to win those extended points. That was a real momentum boost for Michigan State early in the second set. Landfair out of bounds. Point Michigan State. A lot of red in the crowd tonight. Taylor Hold'em serves again off the tape. Landfair, a kill for Nebraska.
Better adjustment from Taylor Landfair up front. Went a little wide on the line shot one previous swing. This time just goes right inside the blockers, taking the seam that's given. A really good finish from Landfair.
Landfair leading the Huskers with 6 kills. First team All-American, her redshirt sophomore season at Minnesota. Great piece to have for the Huskers, who came up short in the national championship game a season ago. On the joust, it's dug by Maya Bolton, number 33. Dumped over, pancake save, Yosia. On the free ball, from the back row, Harper Murray. Take cover.
Harper Murray exploding from the backcourt. She made that look like a front court swing based on where she landed. Impressive up on Michigan State's side. Barely able to keep it up with the pancake, but Harper Murray flying through like a freight train.
Youch. Big Ten Freshman of the Year last year. Big block. Landfair and Becca Alec.
Regardless of who plays that second outside position for Nebraska, whether it's Taylor Landfair or Lindsey Krause, they've got a lot of height on that side. That is not a block that you want to go up against with Landfair and Becca Alec up front.
Intimidating, imposing. Nebraska by 4 in the second set. Another great crowd inside the Breslin Center, and we're expecting an epic crowd tomorrow night for Saturday Night Volleyball. Indiana versus Purdue. Outstanding rivalry. They're playing that one inside Mackey Arena, the home of Purdue basketball. A sellout crowd expected to be on hand. That's only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. We talked about the Nebraska balanced attack at the start of the match, Emily. What do you think about it so far?
Nebraska's attack looks incredibly balanced. You can see those numbers in a .413 hit percentage. This is what Nebraska thrives off of. They don't have one go-to attacker necessarily. Anyone can go off on any given night.
Oh, a bad pass and a point for Nebraska.
Michigan State has had a lot of really good opportunities. They just need to tighten things up a little bit more on those 50-50 plays.
Now 4-0 run now for Nebraska after Michigan State was only down 7-6. Preston dug by Kennedy Orr. Landfair, an overpass. Out of bounds off the Michigan State block.
Really good adjustment from outside Taylor Landfair on Nebraska's side. Not a good out-of-system play, but she worked hard to get her feet there. Watch her step close. It's explosive, so she still can drive upward and get that full momentum into her attack.
Great dig by Kennedy Orr. Free ball offered up to Michigan State. Duzema puts it down.
When Michigan State is in system and their middles can go off, they're a tough team to stop. With Evie Duzema and Zuzana Kulik, when they're involved in the play, they're really good.
Duzema from just down I-96 in Grand Rapids. And Nalani Yosia, the captain for Michigan State, serves Choboy in the back row. On the slide, Alec. Point Nebraska.
Nebraska's doing a really good job spreading out their offense. We're not seeing a lot of sets in the middle of the court, either going outside or on the right side pin, whether that's an opposite attack or a middle going on a slide.
Bergen Riley down the line to Bolton, swatted over by Bishop. And a difficult pass, and Bishop on the other side had a hammer try at it. Now, conventionally, she sets Holden. What a dig by Riley, nearly off the video board at the Breslin Center. And Landfair puts an end to the point.
Taylor Landfair has been really impressive tonight. Her ability to handle these tough out-of-system plays. Everyone in the gym knows where this ball is going. Michigan State has time to put 2 blockers up. Landfair still finds a way around them.
Taylor Landfair has been the bright spot in Nebraska's offense so far tonight. Look at that 109-match win streak for Penn State, more than double the next longest win streak in the history of the sport. You know, I think it's so fitting that we are profiling that dynasty because, you know, it was only 15 years ago now or so. And just given the way that media coverage, television coverage of the sport has expanded since then, you know, it's good that they're getting their due now with so much more attention on the sport. I
mean, with what that team and those teams were really able to do during that period will never happen again. With the parity that we see in NCAA and the dominance that they had on their side of the court, I mean, they were in and out of matches lightning fast.
Astonishing. So stay up late after our doubleheader of volleyball.
Oh, yeah. We got a sneak peek of it, and guys, let me tell you, it is worth the watch. It is a fantastic documentary featuring so many people from those teams, coaches that coached under Russ Rose, just incredible minds of the sport.
Wow, that ball was drilled. Point Nebraska. Almost ricocheted off Yosia. Becca Alec, wow.
I mean, she's got an arm to her. If she's up there and there's an open net or a big seam in the block, you don't want to be on the other side of that.
This is kind of what Nebraska did in the first set as well. It was close early, and then they pulled away. That's a point for Nebraska. Bishop tried to reach and keep that ball on Michigan State's side of the net.
And Julia Bishop has to have a conversation with their passers and say, hey guys, keep me 5-10 feet off these tight passes I can't work with.
Mauk serves. And the swing by Anderson, but still a point for Nebraska. Outside the antenna again.
Yeah, this ball just going outside. Looked almost clean from where you were standing, but tough to tell.
Beeson blocked, but everything coming up Huskers at this point in the match.
Nebraska with all the momentum right now, offense clicking, they're digging everything on their side. Michigan State has to make a switch, and it's going to happen, and has to happen now.
Bishop sets the back row. Riley the dig on Hold'em. This is Beeson, cross court through Bishop. Point Nebraska. Michigan State making sure Bishop's okay. This has turned into a 12-2 run for Nebraska.
And Julia Bishop, right side of your screen, just taking one right off the face. But man, this girl is tough as nails.
It happens. Bishop back to work, and she tees up Susanna Kulig for the point.
Really good response from Julia Bishop stepping in. Just got hit in the face, still finds a way to get her middle to play. Shook that off really well. Great job getting her hands on this ball, keeping her middle involved.
Kulig's got 3 kills tonight. Preston to work. Murray tools the block, knocked by Yosia back over. Alec dug by Yosia. Murray down the line, Bishop got a hand on it. Beeson stuffed. Point Michigan State.
Sparty getting some momentum of their own, fueled by incredible defense. Nalani Yosia throwing up an arm just to keep this ball alive. Then Julia Bishop, same thing on the right side, but it's the front court block that gets it done.
Some great defensive work by the libero Yosia, who's got 9 digs in the match. And again, the Big Ten digs per set leader. Great pass by Rodriguez to keep it alive and avoid the ace. And Murray misfires out the back row. Michigan State still down 8, but John Cook wants a timeout for Nebraska. Huskers were in cruise control, but second set not over yet. We talked about the TV exposure that has grown with the sport of volleyball in particular over the last few years. And John Cook actually spoke on that back at Big Ten Media Days in Chicago in August. Take a listen.
I remember every year we get a meeting with the Big Ten, and how much we were fighting just to get a couple matches televised. Now pretty much you guys are in every Big Ten home, so the exposure's been awesome to grow the sport. I mean, you can watch it from anywhere. I mean, we get on a bus after a match, you're in the Eastern time zone, and we're watching, Minnesota play or Wisconsin play in a different time zone. Everybody's on their phones watching. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
I don't think he's enjoyed watching the last few points for Nebraska, but that was a great soundbite from the Hall of Famer John Cook. And here are some of the big matchups around the conference this weekend, including these same Nebraska Cornhuskers on NBC tomorrow against Ohio State from the Covelli Center in Columbus.
We've got some big ones coming up this weekend. Oregon, Wisconsin playing later tonight. Minnesota, Penn State on Sunday. But it's just like John Cook said, it has been so exciting to watch Big Ten really lead the way in terms of television coverage. 83 Big Ten volleyball matches will be televised this season. That's up 30% from last year. I remember coming into 2023 and they told us 64 matches would be on TV, and that felt like a huge number. 83 is just continuing to push the envelope and almost sounds unheard of at that point. But it's been so cool to watch this conference lead the way in terms of coverage, both on TV, both on digital, and just from the players themselves. The access has been awesome.
I think that's a big part of why you're seeing the increased parity in the sport. It's more watchable, more accessible, and more people are playing. Well, Michigan State's on a 3-0 run. That might not sound like much, but it's the first time they've done that against Nebraska today. Beeson off the block, knocked over by Anderson. That was Malk with the dig in the back row. Yosia, the bump pass to Bishop. She tees up Kulig, and that's in. Point Michigan State, the run to 4.
Michigan State finding little ways to gain momentum. Their transition offense has done a much better job. The backcourt getting Bishop in a spot where she can run all options on attack, and the front line's able to put it down.
Taylor Preston serves Malk. Alec. Kulig dug by Riley, but it's a shank. Michigan State threatening to claw their way back into this set. 5 straight points.
Michigan State digging in. Their backcourt doing a phenomenal job slowing down the attack for Nebraska. The Huskers have been in system. They just haven't been able to put a ball down.
They've already burned 1 timeout during this run for Michigan State. Anderson dug by Riley. Murray puts it down and puts an end to the Michigan State run.
Really impressive run on Nebraska's side. Tough out of system ball for Harper Murray to hit. Watch where it's coming from. It's coming from behind her head. She can't even see the block in front of her, but still manages to get around it.
Murray pacing the Huskers in kills per set. Over 3.2 on the season. She's got 7 in the match tonight. That's a service error from Lexi Rodriguez. And a chance for Michigan State to keep momentum here. Murray dug by Bishop. What a play by Hold'em. And Anderson with the block. Point Michigan State.
Michigan State's defense has been the difference here late in this second set to lead this push. The backcourt is digging everything on their side, and the front court, the block doing work up front.
As far as outside hitters go, Anderson, not known for her block. That was her first block tonight, but that was a solo block at that. Andy Jackson with the big point for Nebraska.
Great side out and a good way to completely stop the momentum on Michigan State's side. Good Andy Jackson kill will do that for you.
Merritt Beeson serves. It was 21-15 in the first set as well. And Taylor Hold'em tools the Nebraska block.
Michigan State down 10 points at one point in this set, finding ways, just little things they're doing a little bit better, keeping the ball in play, making smarter shots. Now just 5 points down.
25-15 was the score of the first set in favor of Nebraska. Akasha Anderson serves. A service error, not a friendly roll for the Spartans. You hate seeing that with your opponent in the red zone. Nebraska over the 20-point mark in the set. Here's Harper Murray, the native of Michigan, grew up in Ann Arbor. And a great dig by Murray. Ooh. Hold'em gets it to drop.
What a swing from Taylor Hold'em. The angle that she's able to hit, she turns that right thumb down. Look how sharp this is. I mean, Taylor Landfair wasn't ready for it and kind of paid for it too.
Hold'em's got 6 kills and she's serving now. She had a great summer, came into preseason camp in the best shape of her life. Then suffered a concussion and it really derailed the start of her season. But she, even after that service error, is really rounding into the form that she had last season when she led Michigan State in kills and was named second team All-Big Ten.
Still just finding her rhythm. Hold'em is one of Michigan State's better 6th rotation players and now getting back into the lineup as such.
Kennedy Orr has been serving very effectively for Nebraska tonight. Here comes a free ball for Michigan State. Hold'em out of the back into the net. Point Nebraska.
Good decision for Michigan State to run a little bit different look of an offense, bringing Hold'em through the backcourt. Execution just not quite there. And a good decision with the middle running behind. You still have an attacker through the middle, just coming up a little short.
And it hands Nebraska set point. Blocked out of bounds, point Michigan State. Nalani Yosia trying to extend the set. Riley loses the joust at the net with Susanna Kulig. That was a setter up against a middle blocker. Advantage Michigan State.
Read really well from the sophomore middle up front. Tight pass, setter has to go up and dump it. Kulig's right on all over it.
Michigan State's got to be perfect. Landfair, like she did in the first set, hands Nebraska a second set victory. Credit Michigan State, it looked like the Cornhuskers were going to run away with the second set. Spartans come back, but too little too late. Nebraska in command going to the third. Big Ten Network is brought to you by State Farm. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Homecoming weekend, alumni weekend for Michigan State volleyball, specifically honoring the 2010s decade. But players from all eras of the Michigan State volleyball program honored moments ago. And there is our colleague on the Big Ten Network, Elena Schlar, former Michigan State setter, with her head coach with the Spartans, Kathy George, winningest coach in program history, now the head coach of the Grand Rapids Rise in the Pro Volleyball Federation. We know Kathy very well, always enjoyed working with her when she was in the Big Ten Conference. Of course, we love Elena too. And from inside the Breslin Center, we get ready to start the third set. Nebraska versus Michigan State. Emily Eamon, Chris Foster's really festive atmosphere here. Great seeing Elena and Coach George, and Nebraska fans travel so well. Lots of red in the stands as well.
Feels like anytime Nebraska is playing on the road, it almost looks like a Nebraska home match at times because of the fans they draw in, but a ton from Michigan State as well. It's been a good crowd tonight, and they're getting a show.
So Taylor Landfair was in the starting lineup for Nebraska tonight, just her 6th start of the season, but she's been excellent.
Taylor Landfair has been outstanding, leading the team with 9 kills, hitting over 400. The number one thing that Nebraska head coach John Cook wanted to see was his left side's killing balls. She's been in and out of that starting lineup, switching spots with Lindsey Krause at times, but she is putting on a show tonight when given the opportunity. She's killing balls.
leading Nebraska with 9 kills. And, you know, just about every other coach in the country would die to have depth where you're trying to figure out, okay, do I put Taylor Landfair in or Lindsey Krause? I mean, 2 outstanding hitters and very decorated careers, respectively, in the Big Ten. Landfair has, literally, you might say, had the hot hand tonight.
Nebraska is such a deep team, and that's exactly what you need, especially when you get later in the year. Say there's a player injured or a player that's just not having their best night. You have to have players coming in off the bench to be game changers, and Nebraska has that. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches when you look on their bench, because most of those players would be in the starting lineup at literally any other school.
Awfully hard to get on the floor wearing crimson and cream. Bergen Riley serves to get us going in the 3rd set. She serves Akasha Anderson. Merritt Beeson able to knuckle it off to Harper Murray, but Michigan State able to handle Nebraska out of system. And the Spartans are on the board in the 3rd.
Michigan State has to translate their defensive effort from the 2nd set here in the 3rd. They were digging so many balls to block, turned on. Now they have to not only do that, but transition that into kills and put balls down.
Taylor Preston leading Michigan State in kills tonight. She serves, and Landfair sends it Julia Bishop's way. That's off the Nebraska block. Point for Michigan State and Akasha Anderson.
Akasha Anderson still trying to work her way out of the negatives, but finding ways to get kills over the last about set and a half, really settling into that right side position.
Preston, the junior. Riley throws it to Beeson. Down the line, point Nebraska. He's touched. And Nebraska with its first side out of the set. And to the point of how deep Nebraska is talent-wise, if you're a freshman getting floor time for Nebraska, you must be pretty special, and that's the case for Olivia Malk, who's now serving. Been largely a serve specialist for John Cook in Nebraska. Roll shot, Harper Murray. Hold'em out of bounds. No touch, point Nebraska.
Great defense on Nebraska's side. Lexi Rodriguez making digs look easy in the right spot at the right time, putting setter Bergen Riley in the perfect position to set up her attackers. This ball barely going long, but going for fingertips. It's a good shot from Hold'em.
Kulig got that one past Lexi Rodriguez.
That's not something you say very often. Rodriguez is not missing many digs. That's a really good shot from the middle blocker on Michigan State's side. Finding ways right around it, just going behind the setter for a back one.
Kulig is up to 6 kills for the match, and she's serving now. Coming over from Poland, her sophomore season with Michigan State. Drills that ball.
Murray bringing a little bit extra heat on the outside. If you give Harper Murray a seam to hit through, she's going to absolutely barrel it. Even a slightly small one, the block knows where it's going. She rips the line.
Bring out the radar gun.
Yeah.
Lexi Rodriguez. Anderson. The bump set to Murray. Blocked. Beeson blocked. Murray blocked. Down it comes. Bishop picks out Hold'em, and she's stuffed. And how about that for Nebraska? They get the final word.
That's why coverage is so important. Michigan State kept the pressure on Nebraska, but all 5 players that weren't attacking the ball were into cover, giving Nebraska more and more opportunities, and then that front court defense goes to work.
Beeson especially, but also Jackson, able to stay up and over the net for such a long time. And that ball is shanked again by Rodriguez. Sakasha Anderson with the point.
Sakasha Anderson has one of the heaviest arms that I think we've seen in the Big Ten so far. When given, she can absolutely rip a ball.
She started her college career at Auburn. She was an all-SEC player as a freshman. Coming over to the Big Ten, this is her first season in East Lansing. Beeson tried a tip, and it didn't work. Point Michigan State.
Michigan State to start off holding in there with Nebraska, making plays on their side, keeping the pressure on the Huskers.
Anderson's turn to serve. Andy Jackson on a tempo ball in the middle.
Nebraska switching things up, now working a little bit more in front of the setter. For the first 2 sets, we saw a lot behind on slide attacks. This time coming in on a hang ball off of 1 foot in front of the setter.
Anderson from the back row, out of bounds. Point Nebraska. Beeson with another serve. That one looked like it may have been going out of bounds. Hold'em almost second-guessed herself, and it counts as an ace.
That's where communication in the backcourt is so important. If you're not going to pass this ball, you have to be able to tell your other passer this ball's going out, and you got to scream it to make sure they don't play it.
That was just the second ace of the match for Nebraska. Michigan State only has 1. Murray, dug by Yosia. It stays on Michigan State's side. Anderson muscles that one through the block.
How about that dig? Nalani Yosia in the backcourt. Such a difficult ball to dig because of how fast it's coming. She's not only there, but she keeps it on her side, and it's a perfect ball for Michigan State to transition.
13 digs for Nalani Yosia, who faced Nebraska twice in NCAA tournaments when she was a Texas Longhorn. Beaten in the Elite 8 of the 2020 NCAA tournament, and then lost to Nebraska in the Final Four later that calendar year, remember, in the 2021 NCAA tournament. Murray with the last kill for Nebraska, and she serves. And Duzema down the line, but out of bounds. Point Huskers.
A perfect pass on Michigan State's side. That ball just not quite taken care of. Duzema coming off it a little funky.
Three players in the match have 9 kills, including Murray. Murray with the dig. She averages over 2 of those per set. Couldn't quite finish the job. That attack error gives Michigan State the point.
Sparty definitely practicing their dodgeball on the backcourt. Taylor Hold'em barely ready to get out of the way for that one. Watch middle back on Michigan State's side. Just that last second fake out. Ooh.
Almost caught her hair on the way by.
Yeah.
This is Yosia. Hold'em stuffed. Landfair and Jackson up front.
We've seen those back row attacks from Michigan State go into the net a few too many times. That set needs to be a little bit higher.
Kennedy Orr in to serve. Huskers by 3 in the third. Preston, that's long. Point Nebraska. service error. And a break for Michigan State. Emily, they are hitting negative for this set. And that has been the problem for Michigan State, just trying to find consistency in putting the ball down and inbounds on the other side of the net.
And Michigan State's Achilles heel has just been able to put balls down. They have the pieces offensively to be a really good team. They just haven't necessarily clicked yet and found that consistency.
Taylor Landfair tools the block for the Nebraska point.
Landfair hitting that 10-kill mark now, leads all players in the match. She's doing a really good job stepping up when she knows that eyes are on her on the coaching staff to really earn that starting spot.
Bergen Riley serves Anderson. Bishop, a one-handed set. Beeson out of bounds. Point Michigan State.
Neither side playing particularly clean in this set. Michigan State, though, if they clean it up, they have to capitalize on Nebraska's errors.
Spartans winless in Big Ten play. Alec the point for Nebraska. The schedule will, relatively speaking, get a little bit lighter for Michigan State in the second half of conference play, but they opened up with 4 straight Big Ten matches on the road. One was against Penn State, one was against Purdue, one was against Michigan, who's much improved this season. Came back home, had to play Penn State again. It's just been murderer's row for Michigan State schedule-wise.
I mean, that's just playing in the Big Ten. It feels like every single night, top to bottom, you can't take a night off because everyone is good. The top teams, of course, are staying at the top, but those middle and bottom teams, they're continually pushing the top teams. So, yeah, you might have a team that's 0-6 in the Big Ten, but, man, they're still a good ball team.
Washington comes into East Lansing to close out the weekend for Michigan State. Zuzana Kulig serves. Murray, a tip, and Hold'em digs it. Now Anderson, cross court, and a kill.
What a swing from Akasha Anderson on the right side, putting everything she had into that one. Check out this angle of how sharp she hit this ball. Great transition play on Michigan State side. She brings her arm cross body and just rips it.
Michigan State hanging around in the third. Beeson returns fire, and a kill for Merritt Beeson and Nebraska.
Easy one and done on Nebraska's side. Merritt Beeson going up in a strong shot.
Lexi Rodriguez serves Duzema in the front row. Hold'em, pancake save by Mauk. Here's Harper Murray. Off a touch, point Nebraska.
Great out of system set from libero Lexi Rodriguez in the back row. These are plays that you constantly practice, and when they're in a game, see it pay off.
Murray's got 10 kills, and Nebraska trying to win this one in straight sets. Nebraska up 15-11. If they win the set, they win the match and improve to 7-0 in Big Ten play. Tonight's State of Success is brought to you by State Farm. Nebraska with 11 sweeps on the season and played a ridiculous non-conference schedule as well. It's not like they just cleaned up on teams in the non-conference. They've been doing it against very high caliber opponents. There's a big kill for Anderson and Michigan State. A big point for the Spartans out of the timeout.
If Michigan State is going to come back, they need a lot more of that. Gelling right now, trying to get momentum. Akasha Anderson was the one during the first set who went on a little bit of run. They need her to do it here again.
She serves now. Out of bounds.
That's just shooting yourself in the foot. You finally get the momentum back. The door cracks open. That has to be cleaner.
Yeah, she has 4 service errors in the match tonight to that point. Beeson serves Hold'em. Rodriguez pushes it up. Murray tight to the net. And it results in a Nebraska point.
Murray unloading on that ball. It looks like she's swinging harder and harder as this match has gone on. Trying to get her team to the win as soon as possible. This Nebraska team, they've got a quick turnaround.
Murray had 12 kills against Michigan State last season as a freshman. She has 11 tonight as a sophomore. Timeout from the Breslin Center. Two great games to start your weekend here on the Big Ten Network. Nebraska, Michigan State in progress in the 3rd set. And then on the right, Penn State and Ohio State from the Covelli Center in Columbus. That's the back end of our doubleheader tonight on the Big Ten Network. Michelle McMahon, Audrey Flaw standing by for the call of that one. And then we'll call it a triple header, Emily.
Yeah.
The big story, The Streak, premieres tonight, documenting that historic 109 consecutive match win streak for the Penn State Nittany Lion volleyball program. And the current Penn State team in pretty good shape under Katie Schumacher-Crawley. Murray with the tip and the point.
Harper Murray taking a little bit of speed off of that one. This one absolutely bounced the last ball that she hit. That's what makes this tip effective. You expect Murray to go up and hit the ball every time.
The diversity of shots, just part of what makes Harper Murray the total package. Anderson from the back row. That was touched, and a point for Michigan State. Taylor Hold'em on the slide. Andy Jackson off the block. Point Nebraska.
A great one and done on Nebraska side. Beautiful pass, allows that middle attack to be ran, and that connection just so good.
Shouldn't be surprised. Thousands of volleyball matches that John Cook has seen and coached in. So that gives Nebraska a 20-13 edge now in the 3rd set. Julia Bishop denied by Lainey Choboy. And the roll shot by Taylor Landfair.
What a shot right to the middle of the court, going over the block, splitting all of the defenders in the backcourt. Look how much space is open on Michigan State's side. Right in the middle of the court, scramble plays happening, just catches them off guard.
Fabulous work by Lainey Choboy to set up that point for Nebraska. And the Huskers closing in on the match. Timeout, Michigan State. Nebraska with 45 kills in the match. More than their average of 14 kills per set, which is 11th in the country. We were talking about this, about Nebraska's strength of schedule, all the sweeps that they had, and how it was against some really impressive teams as well. They swept number 2 Stanford, number 4 Louisville on the road. These are not all of their ranked wins either. These are just some of the notable ones.
Just massive wins across the board for this Nebraska team. Since the beginning of the season, we've almost seen nothing but dominance. And you look back to 13 matches ago of that loss to SMU. Doesn't look so bad now that we know SMU was a very formidable team, just took down Pitt, who was then undefeated. The important thing to remember, too, is, okay, you might see the number 2 ranking for Nebraska and say, we should be number 1, whatever that may be. it's important to remember that the ABC rankings don't matter at this point in the season. It all comes down to RPI and what the selection committee is seeing. Once Sunday rolls around, where they're releasing their first top 16, we'll get a good handle of how well they weigh in that strength of schedule that Nebraska has had against that of Pitt, who hasn't had as strong of a schedule and both have the same losses.
All of the Big Ten teams in the RPI top 30. Incredible.
It's insane. I mean, how good this conference is, it's not even those teams. There are 12 in the top 55, and what that tells you, normally you have to be in the 55 RPI range to even get a chance at the NCAA tournament. 12 teams could potentially get in if the season ended right now.
That would far and away be a record for Big Ten teams. I think it's 8, I think, the current high for Big Ten teams in one NCAA tournament.
And a huge jump from last year, only 5 Big Ten teams made it.
Andy Jackson rises and fires.
Andy Jackson just exploding on this ball, trying to get this match done as soon as possible, but an impressive defensive up. Lexi Rodriguez not only gets it up, puts it right on the money.
And Nebraska has a quick turnaround. They play Ohio State in Columbus tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern. Service error for the Huskers. Nalani Yosia now. She has been voted a captain all 3 seasons with the Spartans. Landfair plants that one in front of Hold'em, and it is match point. Much like they did at the end of the first set, Nebraska closing this third set with an exclamation point. On a 12-1 run. Here's Kennedy Orr serving for the match. Up to Preston. Choboy saves it. Pushed over by Orr. Preston dug again by Choboy. But a point for Michigan State.
What an up from Laney Choboy. Didn't get the point, but man, she is flying all over the court. Just this slight net call. Bergen Riley coming right down on it on the top.